Hi, welcome to Sue Maree P. Today on What's for Dinner, I'm going to share what I'm making for our dinner tonight. Saturday night here in London, and we usually have pizza on the weekend, but today I'm going to make pizza monkey bread. It's like a pull-apart bread, and I do it in my bundt tin, but if you didn't have a bundt tin, you can just do it in a regular like cake tin, like that, and pop like a glass jar in the center. So I'm going to share with you my spelt dough, which I use for my pizzas. So all I do is I use my stand mixer just because I've got it and it's easy, and I've got a dough hook here. So popping in 500 grams of white spelt flour. Now I have done this with my spelt dough with half whole grain and half white, and it still turns out fine. It's just a little bit trickier when you want to do all whole grain spelt. It becomes a little bit tougher. Into that, I've got 2 teaspoons of fine salt, or 10 grams, so pop that in. And to make it quick and easier, I use instant dried yeast, and that's just a 7-gram packet. But we do have our own lievito madre, which we use also, which is our sourdough starter. Just stirring this to dissolve it. And if you want to use fresh yeast, use about a 25-gram block, or if you're going to use a sourdough starter, you use about 100 grams. And you can also do it just in a large bowl with a big spoon or with your hands, and you just need to knead it for about 10 minutes. But we're going to do it on the stand mixer, and we'll knead it for about 5 to 8 minutes until it comes away clean from the sides. So let's just drag that in. And I'm just going to make a well in the center. I'm going to use a wooden spoon and just make a little well in the center. Just to give it a little bit of extra moisture, I'm going to do a drizzle of olive oil, which is about a tablespoon. Then we're just going to mix all that up. I started on low just to combine it, and then I pump it up. And then in the UK, there's a few different places you can get spelt flour. There's a couple of brands that you can get it from. There's Dove's Farm, Craig's & Co., which is my favourite, Shark and Park, and I think even Holland & Barrett or Buy Whole Foods online also sell it. But it's becoming quite popular now. It's one of the ancient grains, and I like spelt flour because when I eat white bread flour or white flour, like bleached flour, it tends to upset my tummy, but when I eat spelt flour, I don't get the same side effects. So it's just a little bit kinder on my digestion. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. So that's our 5-minute timer. I'm just going to check it to see how we're looking. I think we need a few extra minutes. You can kind of see it's kind of silky and smooth, but there's still a few little lumps in there. So I'm going to knead it for about another 3 minutes. I think that's looking ready. So I'm just going to stop it there. And you can see how stretchy, and look at that. That's absolutely delicious. Am I allowed to say that? So I'm going to olive oil my hands. You can flour them, but I love the feeling of the olive oil on my hands. So I'm going to remove it from this dough hook and just move that out of the way. I've got a bowl here that I've pre-greased. I use this vegetable oil shortening called Trex here in the UK, and I've just brushed the pan with that. And I'll show you how I grease my bundt tin. So let's get this dough out. So you can flour it, but I just find when you grease it with either olive oil or this vegetable shortening, it's kinder on the dough. Because look at that. So much of bread making, especially with spelt flour, is all about touch. And you need to fall in love with the idea of getting the right texture and kneading it long enough until it's like soft and pliable. So I'm going to pop in this bowl, rest it for an hour until it doubles in size, and I've got a damp tea towel, and I'm just going to put it to one side. My kitchen's quite warm. I'm going to slide this out of the way. And then the next step is I'm going to show you how I grease my bundt tin. So I've got the bundt tin, and it's got a non-stick coating. I've tried vegetable oil sprays and they don't seem to work. Melted butter can kind of sometimes work and sometimes not, but I find if you just have a squidgy butter or a squidgy vegetable shortening and just brush it on quite liberally into all the little nooks and crannies, And that is a very good foolproof way of it not getting stuck. And make sure you do the stem. So that's all ready to go for our dough once it rises. So the next step is I'm going to show you how I make my sauce for the pizza monkey bread. So I use what's called passata, and it's like a thick tomato puree. So I'm just popping that whole jar. It's a 400-gram jar. Or you can use a ready-made sauce. We often use this arrabbiato or Napolitan pasta sauce, which is also a 400-gram jar. Just depends what you've got in the cupboard and how quick and easy you want to make it. And this is basically how I make my pizza sauce for when we make pizzas, but I don't use quite as much. So in there, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of dried basil. If you've got fresh basil, you can use that. We love chili, so I'm just going to use like a quarter of a teaspoon of chili and some oregano. So we'll do 2 teaspoons of oregano. Now this can be halved if you don't want it so spicy or so herby, but this is the way we like it. 2 teaspoons of onion granules, and you can do fresh onions, but I just find this quick and easy. You can either use garlic powder or garlic granules, but today I've got fresh garlic, so I'm just going to put 1 clove of fresh garlic in, and I'm just going to crush that with my little garlic crush. And then we just need to stir that around, and you can add salt and pepper, but I don't think it really needs it. And then into that, we need to add the mozzarella. So you can use grated mozzarella, like packaged mozzarella, but we love the mozzarella balls. So these are around 125, 150 grams each. So I just tear like little strips of the mozzarella and pop it into the sauce. And then I'll show you how we coat the little dough balls once they're all separated. And you can do less mozzarella if you don't want so much. You can add different cheeses, like you could add cheddar cheese, Parmesan cheese. You can even add a little bit of salami or some olives, red pepper, but we like to keep it simple. We're margherita? Yeah, we're simple pizza people, so we just do it with the tomato and the cheese. Now this recipe was inspired by another YouTuber called Gemma from Bigger Bolder Baking, and I've done a few tweaks. So I've done it in spelt flour, and I've done my own type of sauce that I like doing. But thank you, Gemma. You've got an amazing channel, and I get lots of inspiration from you. And don't forget, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new here today. And don't forget, share it with a friend. If you try it, write a comment below and let me know how you go. So it's been over an hour, and I've just checked my dough, and look at that. It's lovely and it's doubled in size, and it doesn't spring back when I touch it. So I'm going to flour my bench just with some spelt flour. And now the fun part, we need to start rolling some little balls. So just make sure there's lots of flour here. So we need a dough scraper. So grab a dough scraper like that. These are a handy tool to have if you're going to do lots of bread making. Well, before we do that, let's knock out some of the air. Just with the heel of your hand. I forgot to do that. Excuse me. Rewind. Okay, so some of the air's knocked out. Grab a little ball and then just roll it in your hands. And they don't need to be perfect size. They can be some small, some big. And then we just drop it into that sauce that we made before. And then we just continue until the dough's all gone. And we make about 30 to 40 little balls. And I love having different sizes because depending on who's eating it, you might just want to have a little one, or you might want a big one. Something for the whole family. And this is quite a generous serve for 4 people as a nice starter or a main to have, I guess, a TV dinner. Or if there's 2 of you, what I could suggest is you could halve the dough and make a cinnamon monkey bread out of the other half, which I'm going to do a video very shortly. Oh, before we finish, we need to pop our oven on. We'll pop it on to 180 degrees. And that's fan forced, which is gas mark 6. And I think it might be about a 350 Fahrenheit. But I'll write the notes up above, and there'll also be a link down below in my description box for a recipe back over at my website. And I'm very excited. I now have a search bar on my website, so you can search for my recipes. It's been a long time coming. This is something that your children can help you make. They can start rolling all these little like dough balls. So it's a fun interactive recipe. Okay, we did manage to fit it all into this bowl, which was good. So I'm just going to gently stir that around. I need to get all of this into there. If you tap it, be careful because it might splash in your eye like it just did for me. All right, I'm not going to try and tap it anymore. Grab your damp cloth again and cover that and let it sit again for about 30 to 45 minutes. And I'm going to go away and clean my eye. Whoops. So it's been almost over an hour. No, it's been almost 45 minutes. And our dough has risen, so we're ready to bake it. But just before we bake it, I'm going to add a little something extra. I'm going to add some grated Parmesan cheese. So this is fresh Parmesan. I'm just grating it over the top. Not completely necessary, but I love grated Parmesan on our pizzas. And I thought today it would taste delicious on this. Now we're going to bake this in a hot oven for about 40 minutes until it's golden brown. And I can't wait to show you what it looks like. So let's pop it in. Time is set for 40 minutes. I'm going to check it at 35 minutes just to make sure it's not browning too much. And I've got my monkey bread out of the oven, and at about 20 minutes I checked it and it was starting to brown quite a lot. So I covered it with foil and just to stop any extra browning. So we need to rest it for about 10 minutes before we try and flip it out. And I've just placed my damp tea towel that I had out before on the bottom. I'm just making sure that there's nothing stuck. But I can't wait to flip it out. So got my timer on. And the other thing I did, I popped, I'm just going to show you, my other pasta sauce that I had in the cupboard. I popped a little bowl full of extra sauce, just in case, you know, someone wants to dip the bread into a little bit of extra spicy sauce. That's something that you could do. Okay, crunch time. Time to flip it over and hopefully it'll come out in one piece. So I've got my board. Use my mitts because it's still quite hot. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, flip. And I think I've heard the sound I wanted to hear, which is the bread falling down. So let me just move this out of the way. What a tangled mess I'm in. Let's do the big reveal. Dun, 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 dun. Voila, look at that. One little crack, but it looks pretty good. Pretty cheesy. It's my pizza monkey bread. Grab a fork and see if we can pull out one to show you. So check that out. That's what it looks like. Still too hot. I'm not going to destroy too much of it because I want to take some photos so it looks pretty. Pizza monkey bread. Try it at home. Hit the thumbs up if you've liked my video. And write a comment below if you give this a go and you love it. And I'll pop a few other links for some other spelt bread recipes above. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.